about this, but I call this summer's workout the Tarzan Initiative.
I love that.
Right? Yeah, the Tarzan Initiative. So if you were to say, what have we done to Luka's body? Well, he's been more Tarzan-like.
What is going on? I want to welcome you from Half Court for today, Saturday, June 25th. I'm your host, Sean Murphy, and alongside a legend, someone that I've been wanting to have on the podcast for quite a long time. He is the father of Luka Garza. It is Frank Garza, which you might know from Pistons Twitter, but also just from all sorts of things. Frank, how are you doing? Thank you so much for being here. I told you before we started recording that I'm just a huge fan of yours and Luka's. And so this type of interview is a dream come true of mine. So thank you so much for being here, Frank.
Well, you're most welcome. And it's a credit to your tenacity and stick-to-itiveness, which is why we're here. And the fact that you are a big fan of Luka's and recognize his game. So I'm happy to be here. And
yeah,
a shout out to all our Piston family, not only right there in Michigan, but globally, and all every continent, so to speak. So shout out to everyone. Sean.
Yeah, without a doubt. Frank, I kind of want to start just like our interview, just kind of like that first question, just kind of talking about that Pistons fandom. I mean, you're literally wearing it on your chest. Obviously, Luka wears it on his chest whenever he goes out there. So, it seems to me like you guys have kind of embraced the Motor City right away. And I feel like the fan base, you kind of came in, especially on Pistons Twitter when Luka was drafted, and you came in and wanted to be a part of the community. You embraced a lot of the figureheads. What has it been like from your perspective being involved in the Pistons community? And do you think that maybe Detroit sports just doesn't get enough love for its fan base? Because I think Detroit fans are very passionate.
Yeah, I would say it's a loaded question there, Sean. There's a lot in there, right? So I would say, first off, the Piston fans are outstanding. And listen, I've been around the Big Ten with my son. I only missed 2 games in the entire collegiate career, and that was due to a plane not having an engine part.
Yeah.
And the other one was because of actually, oddly enough, it was in New York, but the snowstorm in New York shut down the freeway, so we couldn't get there till the next day. But so I've seen a lot of fans, Sean, across the Midwest and, for that matter, the globe. And I would tell you what, you got some loyal, diehard fans, which is what it's all about. Absolutely. The highs and the lows, that's what it's all about. And for me, and Luka too, a lot of those videos that I had, Luka could watch TV, and there was videos, but pretty much all the videos were basketball.
Yeah.
NBA superstars, the dunk, the ankle breakers. I think someone took a picture of it some years ago and showed it, but one of those were about the Pistons. There are 3 separate tapes on that. So we grew up, say Motor City, just in Luka's game. I have this picture behind me because this is, when I think about Detroit, I think about bleeding.
Yeah.
And I think Luka's face, I think even Kessler was saying on the TV or something, that boy getting his face hit more than anyone else. Well, and I also wanted to let him know, for the time that he played and he got in the game, he took more charges than anybody else in the short time because he's more willing to give up his body for the team. And that's what, for me, what Pistons was all about with Isaiah Thomas. And forgive me for not knowing it before, but I became Isaiah right from the beginning, even, a big time fan of his and that whole Motor City spirit's about.
Absolutely.
To me, it's bleeding and doing whatever it takes within the rules to win. And that pretty much defines what my family's all about, doing what it takes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Without a doubt. And it's funny that you bring up that bad boy era, because that's kind of like, that kind of toughness and tenacity is kind of like what I see in your son. And one of the many things that I kind of love about him, you know, it reminds me of like and I'm not saying that your son is Bill Lambier in the sense of like, cause I know he gets the rap of being dirty and things like that, but like, as far as being willing to make those tough plays, like you said, being willing to take charges, but also in addition, just do what it do those physical, dirty things to do what it takes to win basketball games. To me, I very much see that spirit in Luka. It was one of the many reasons why I loved the draft pick when he came to Detroit in that second round, which people might overlook a lot. But the truth is, if you look at even just this past NBA Finals, Draymond Green, a Hall of Fame player who was drafted and found in the second round. We have Nikola Jokic, who is our first ever undrafted MVP. You know, I think Ben Wallace.
2 years in a row. Yeah, right. Yeah. 2 years in a row, right?
Yeah, exactly. Ben Wallace, he was the first ever undrafted Hall of Famer, played for the Pistons. So this notion that you can't find value or great players in the second round, first of all, it's just not true. Right. So that's just one of the things I see. And when you guys were kind of in that like interview process in the draft, right, when you were kind of talking to teams and figuring out about like where you guys would go, what was that like with the Pistons leading up to the draft? Was there a whole lot of conversations with Troy Weaver in that front office, or did you hear from them beforehand? And then was there any indication before the draft that they were thinking about selecting Luka in the second round?
Yeah, it's quite a process, and keep in mind the year before when COVID hit, we were actually thinking about turning pro. Right? Yeah. This is when COVID hit. So at that point in time, I was pretty much talking because we didn't have an agent because we were just going to explore it. So I got a chance to firsthand talk with the different franchises around, from Denver to San Antonio to Dallas, all around. So I got a good sense of that process. And then when the second year came around, when we decided to come back, I got to see it through the lens of our agent, Imperative Sports, who has a long-standing relationship with Mr. Weavers, from DC. Our agency is the same one that reps Jeremy, of course, Magruder, Pickett, and some other. I don't know if it's Pickett or not. Forgive me for that, but Magruder he does, and Luka, and so there was a familiarity from Team Takeover, the AAU program. That Keith's team is formerly coached on to where he is now. So there was a familiarity. And because, face it, it's been our entire upbringing, which is we're not the quickest, we're not the fastest. In fact, we're probably the slowest of every athlete on the team. Yeah. But the great thing about the sport of basketball is you must be a basketball player, not just an athlete. In fact, basketball players beat athletes every day of the week on the court. So it's an equal opportunity, so to speak, game where you can come in and play, even though you may not be the most gifted or the tallest or whatnot. So it took someone like Troy to understand the kind of player Luka was. Exactly. And it took our agent to educate, and not so much educate, but just talk to him, because face it, a lot of professional fans aren't necessarily collegiate fans. So the reason why I jumped out, I was trying to make my case early on when Luka got drafted, was because people didn't know him and they didn't know, this is a terrible pick. So I wanted to show him, hey, time out. Right. This kid can shoot, he can do that, and he's going to work harder than anybody else you've ever met. And that's saying a lot, because there are a lot of hard workers in the NBA, because you don't get there by not working hard. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And, and with that, that hard work and that determination, like you said, that decision to ultimately stay another year in college worked out pretty well, I would say, winning the National Player of the Year honors, and then obviously being in the position where he was to be drafted in that second round. What is that like to, because obviously, I'm not, I'm a young person. I'm a father. I'm not a father. I don't know what that's like to see, my child like achieve like their ultimate dream. Right. But that moment when, when that draft pick was announced and that name was read, that Luka Garza was going to be an NBA player,
What was that moment like? And what were the emotions? What was that? I feel like you couldn't even bottle that type of energy.
Yeah, well, exactly right there. It's hard although it's very fresh now with the draft being this evening. When we look at last year, where again, you would think, God, National Player of the Year, unanimous All-American, which hadn't been done for like 27 years in the Big Ten, and the person who did it before was a Hall of Famer, and you got guys like Kevin Durant, this and that in the Big Ten doing this kind of stuff. So it's very humbling on the one hand, and yet on the other, it's something, because with Luka and I, it's a little bit different relationship just because I've spent a lot of time with him on the court. Helping him develop his game all the way through college and even now, right? In terms of the things, I'm really a stupid person, not good at anything, but except for maybe one or two things. And one of those is understanding the game of basketball from a big person's lens and whatnot. But it reminds me of this saying, John F. Kennedy had a saying, which he said, success, he said this, Sean, he said, success has 1,000 fathers, failures an orphan. And I change it around in times like this to say success has 1,000 fathers. I mean, I have people that Luka met one time claiming that they made Luka the player he was, right? You get people coming out of, we met him one time, it's all great, I don't care. But I changed that saying to say success has 1,000 fathers, no doubt, but failure has but one.
Yeah.
And so coming on that draft night, my whole thing and help my son, as any parent would do, was trying to do what I could to make that opportunity optimal for him to be have the chance to make it. Because just because you're drafted, now keep in mind, you go back some years, there was an Indian player, the first Indian player ever drafted, was drafted by the Mavericks, number 52, which was the same position as Luka. And that player, who's an exceptional and a hero in his country, obviously in India, he's now a wrestler. So just because you're drafted doesn't mean you're going to make it. And I think Luka at the summer league, we dropped those 35 pounds in a short period of time. We showed that we would transform from being a black and blue player in the Big Ten to now a svelte, lean, mean fighting machine. And I think Troy saw that. He liked that. I think some other clubs saw that. And again, I'll just going to go on the record, not from Troy and Coach Casey all the way through to the Motor City folks. It's what a pleasure and a delight to have people that can understand the kind of player Luka is and being able to adapt around him, as opposed to trying to take a square peg and jam it in a round hole. You know what I mean? So that's, my hat's off to the entire organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, I think that the thing that's been great is even when Luka has gotten playing time in the association, but also in the G League, they've really let him be himself. Like you said, it seems like they're not asking him to play any type of game that isn't familiar to his style or to the way that he plays basketball. And kind of like you said, coming into the league, you kind of already alluded how Luka changed his body coming into the league. He cut and lost a lot of weight, was really, it seemed like he was trying to get to that point where, you bring up, well, we might not be the fastest, but we're going to be the toughest, and we're going to know the game of basketball. What were some of those adjustments that Luka made coming into the league and getting ready for that rookie year, and some of those adjustments that, like you said, put him into a position where he went from getting a 2-way contract to a full guaranteed 1-year deal?
Yeah, great question. And keep in mind, in the history of Luka's career, whether it was a freshman in high school or freshman in college, we got better every year. And you're going to see that this summer when Luka's playing, how much better he's gotten, because you know why? And I've been to 70 plus games, so I got the chance to study it up close and personal. And it don't take many of those for me to, and or Luka and the rest of his training staff to figure out what we need to do to get better.
Right.
We can't judge Luka's NBA career based upon his first year alone, because we were just learning what it would take. And now you watch out, just like watch out. No one expected Luka to come in college and be National Player of the Year, a Big Ten Player of the Year, back-to-back years. So I'm just telling everyone, the stripes of a tiger stay the same. Even if you shave the tiger, the stripes are there. So you watch out. When we've had a year to watch and a summer to prepare for what's coming. But the big adjustments, of course, are the game's faster by far. I mean, in the Big Ten, arguably, Sean, one of the best conferences in the country. What do you get? 2, 3, 4, 5 pros, maybe?
Yeah.
Right? So now Luka's in an environment where everybody on that team, 3 levels deep, is an NBA level talent.
Oh,
so there's no sippage anywhere. So that's the biggest adjustment, is that.
Yeah.
And just being around men that are bigger, stronger than you is a different feeling for Luka.
Yeah.
You know, at 6'11", 275 in the Big Ten, he was a heavyweight. He got 2 to 3 guys guarding him a game, and it still didn't matter. He was knocking him down, smashing him around, pounding him, beating him to death. 70% of his shots were inside the key.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that's a juxtaposition. Now 70% of his shots are going to be not only outside the key, but from 3. Keeping in mind, he shot 44% from 3 his senior year in college, and we'll go above that, as I predict. And I would even say 50%, but I will be in the high 40s this year, just because we've had a year to know what it's like. And then the other biggest adjustments on defense, and you're going to see huge adjustments there, because I won't accept the fact that people say Luka's a defensive liability. No, we just learned how to play defense. And now you watch, now that we've had a year under a belt, because there have been so many coaches would have given up on Luka just the way he runs a 40-yard dash.
Right.
And that is criminal almost, in terms of.
Well, it's like you look at Nikola Jokic even, and it's like, obviously it's an unfair comparison in the sense that he's an MVP, the first ever second, but like it to the point where he didn't get faster. He just got better at positional defense. Like, that's the thing. You can, like, it's about knowing where to be and how to get there, and anticipating where to be. That's the kind of stuff that, you know, you can't teach, like you said, you can't teach athleticism. You can't teach like being extremely fast, but what you can teach is where to be and when to be there. And I think that's
and
where.
How exactly. And just in, you know, for me, it's almost like, first off, the NBA is an offensive game, and Luka's 3 will outbeat his defense every day of the week. And then number 2 is, so, I mean, I'm, you know, put that argument to the flusher, right? Yeah. You know, because that's just garbage. You know, the game favors offense. It always has, always will. Yep. Golden State Warriors prove that. You know, like, you can play as good defense as you want. The offense will kill you because it carries the advantage. Secondly, being the leading scorer in the nation 2 years in a row, you got to understand, you got to read the defense. So imagine a 6'11" player now that's going to use all that offensive knowledge as a defensive player. So now he knows how to read a guard coming off a screen, because he never got that in the Big Ten. Yeah. Right? He never got that. So give him a chance to adjust. Now you watch what this guy has done, because he went from a nobody as a freshman in college to a household name. Yeah. And so this is what I think Troy saw and sees in Luka, and that potential. And again, so appreciative of him, you know, allowing, Luka the chance to be able to prove that. And I think at the time he had, Sean, as you mentioned, during COVID, he got to go out there, and what do you have? 3 double doubles, and one were 14 rebounds, which was one of the highest rebounding games of any Piston this year. Yeah, absolutely. During that, and I kind of wanted to bring up during that COVID stretch, where obviously, you know, in that time of December, it was really difficult. The entire league had surges. You know, they had to essentially pause the G League season for about a month to really accommodate just to get NBA games through. But with that, you know, obviously
through difficult and trying times comes, you know, opportunities and things like that. And there were positions where I know Luka at one point had to deal with some stuff during the season, might have gotten ill at one point and had to deal with some stuff. But I know that he had gotten a significant amount of run for a pretty good amount of time to actually start some games, you know, be on the court and have some significant minutes on the NBA floor. So what were some of the positive takeaways that you took from this first year? Because like you said, having that first year to watch back and learn and see where you can take that to the next level of where you can grow. Is there anything that you're looking at back from that first season and saying, these are some foundations we can build off of, or these are some really solid things that we grew in this year?
Oh, of course. Yeah. No. I mean, definitely. Luka, you know, during that COVID period, he had a stretch there where he got COVID and then he sprained his ankle. So during a period where he would have played a bunch more, he had that sprained ankle. And we're actually still healing from that, you know.
Right.
That
but
injury.
Even with team injury too, there were still a lot of times where he could play, even just with our big man depth this season. So even if it wasn't during the COVID surge, there was just with this team's health, it was all the time.
Yeah, no, he got some good times. Yeah. So what did we learn that from that period of time? Well, we've learned how to switch on the screen now and be able to handle that, where before he wasn't able to do that. He never had to do that in the Big Ten. So it's like, okay, now I've got to do it. Well, you can't, you know, fate accompli on 1, 2, or 3 runs on that. No. So we've improved that by 100%. People are going to be shocked by his ability to cover off the switch. Then the second issue is just the accuracy from 3, and then how to get it off quick enough with accuracy. And then the other area is just adding in a floater to offset the vertical plane in the NBA, which is not only much higher, you know, the guys can get off the ground, you know, as well. So anyway, we've made those adjustments to his game as a result of the first year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. And it sounds like that's a lot of good stuff. And obviously, I know that we kind of communicated a little bit before the show, and I got a little bit of a sneak peek of some of the work that you guys are putting in this off season and some of the stuff that's coming up. And it looks like, you know, just from some of the things that I can tell, looks like Luka's gained a good amount of muscle. Looks like, as far as his body goes, looks like he's putting in a lot of work. What are some of those adjustments like to his body that you guys are making to kind of prepare him for another 82 game stretch?
Yeah, no, great question. Yeah, no, I called it this summer. Every summer, you know, it's like there's this saying in my where my wife's from is former Yugoslavia, Bosnia. There's a saying which is, I won't say it in Serbo-Croatian. First off, I can't say it, enunciate that great anyway. Although Luka can speak and is fluent, and not say fluent, he's 0 to 10, he's probably a 5.5, 6 in terms of speaking and hearing and writing it. He's actually taking lessons on top of it. But the saying goes, the winter will tell what the summer did.
Yeah.
Right. And that's always been our shining point, is every summer we'd go away, come back and be better. And it's part of the stripes of our tiger, so to speak. So, and, you know, I did share with you some video that we'll be sharing later about this, but I call this summer's workout the Tarzan Initiative.
I love that.
Right? Yeah, the Tarzan Initiative. So if you were to say, what have we done to Luka's body? Well, he's been more Tarzan-like, which is, look at it, Luka 6'11" is actually small for the NBA. So he's going to be more of an agitator, swinging, jumping, running, agitating, knocking the ball out. And as opposed to just power and smashing, he's going to agitate and be more fluid on the defensive end, being able to hang with that guy coming off the switch. So that's a huge adjustment to his body, is rather than just power, we're going to go for functional strength and quick twitch muscle. And so that's been the biggest thing. Some of those drills, like the matrix exercise I showed you, where he's got to move and adjust. And then some of the stuff where we did out in the jungle, pulling the tractor, doing all those kind of things. I guarantee you, Well, I can't say I guarantee you. I'd say there's probably not another basketball player on the planet doing what I've had Luka do.
That's awesome.
Out of the Tarzan Initiative. And now you've seen the video.
Yeah.
Now tell me, have you seen a basketball player do that?
No.
Ever?
Nope.
Do defensive slides up a hill carrying a rock? No.
Yeah.
So we're going to be sharing that with others. But I think that's also what Troy saw in Luka, which is here's a kid who's going to do whatever it takes, change his body around, went from power to finesse, did this, did that. And that's, like you said, that's not a kind of kid you want to bet against.
Exactly. Yeah, because he just seems like the type of player that, like you said, where getting to the draft, a lot of people see that, I even said it earlier, where getting drafted is a dream come true. But like you said, it's the beginning of the dream being realized, right? And it's kind of like how, especially with a player like Luka and a player in your guys' situation where, this is a very pivotal year for Luka in the sense of proving, what he can do in the league long term, and a lot of teams, even within organization wise, looking at what this season looks like. So obviously with that, I know one thing that was a big part of the rookie season was the Motor City Cruise, and going and having some time where he could play with the club and the organization on the NBA level, but also have that time with him and Saban where they can have some time and play some significant minutes for the Cruise as well. How has that helped Luka's game? Because obviously if you ever wonder if Luka Garza can play basketball, just look at what he does in his time in the G League, 20+ point player, 9.5 rebounds. It's a borderline spitting image of what Luka did, of what Luka could do in college. Right. So to me, it's like, if you're wondering if he can play, he can very much play. So how helpful was that for him to have those like significant reps and more play time to get better and improve on that level?
Well, it's a insightful question, Sean. It's like when you're used to being in college where basically the offense runs through you. Yeah. You're getting touches on virtually every play. The offense is running through you. To then being on the NBA where, you're maybe going to get garbage minutes, and, COVID, he got starts, right? He got some starts, which was fantastic and incredible for his rookie year. Yeah. But still, you're sitting a lot. And that is so, for a high performance engine, that's just doesn't work. So playing in the G League with the Motor City Cruise with DJ and the whole staff there was fantastic. In fact, Luka just had so much fun, because that's fun, and of course you picked on the relationship with he and Saban, but everyone on that team was great. But Saban and him, they live in the same building, they hang out. That was just fantastic. But he had a ton of fun. And, I had my hat off to Rob Murphy there, how they've set that up, DJ and staff, man, incredible how they set up. First off, for me, it's a great entertainment. For folks to come see, and and the price is excellent, and they play hard, it's fun, and they're up and down. So for Luka, it really brought a lot of joy in the season when, admittedly it's hard coming from where he came from to playing all the time to then sitting all the time.
Of course. And
so it was really now we wish we could have played more but he had that injured ankle, and so he couldn't, from basically Delaware on, couldn't play, and that same thing with the for the Pistons. So that kind of hurt us, but again, it was so happy to be have that many games.
Yeah, absolutely. But also just with the renovations and the things that they've done over the course of the past few years, because, I'm from Grand Rapids. So I saw the Grand Rapids Drive era where, that's where the development team used to be. But now to have them in the same practice facility, to have Dwayne Casey there at whether it's a G League practice or whether it's an NBA practice, just how huge is it that even when he is, technically with the G League team, he's really never away seemingly from the team unless there's, significant road trips, right?
Correct. Yeah, no, I think it's very, they translate, one can translate into the other. So what he needs to do for Coach Casey, he can start doing for DJ, and so, And, you know, again, it's a chance for players. I mean, you figure you got $1 million asset that's just sitting.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better. So if you get
Yeah.
to have it play in the G League and move around and do that, then you're really investing in that asset, so to speak. You know, that investment in that person to get better. And of course, you know, Luka, you know, try to, you know, do the things that were harder so that he could do them, you know, when he got called to do it at for the Pistons.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Kind of transitioning just, you know, because we're kind of just talking about his game and just improvement and just a lot of like the training aspects that go into it from like the physical standpoint. I'm curious from like the mental standpoint, the studying standpoint. Are there specific players that Luka watches or admires? Are there any players that growing up, did he model his game after any particular player, or was he kind of because a lot of players also just like to go with just being their true selves, which I think Luka has a very unique game, but you can definitely take inspiration in a lot of things from a lot of other big men. I certainly see flashes of other players in Luka for sure.
Oh yeah, no, we have, you know, our game stands on the shoulders of giants, you know, from Kareem to
Yep.
to Sigma, from Kevin McHale and his jump hook, which I think Luka added something to in the Big Ten. You know, his jump hook was from 15 feet, 12 feet, which, you know, Kevin McHale was from 5 to 7. So I think he revolutionized the jump hook. He couldn't do the sky hook, which he's practiced his whole life because you're double and triple team. That only works if you're single covered. So
yeah,
I think you're going to see more of that, you know, in the NBA than you know, because he's practiced as much as the jump hook. He just couldn't you know,
right.
You know, he couldn't use it. So Sigma, you know, from Akeem Olajuwon to current players in the NBA, the bigs that, yeah. So he's modeled his game after. I mean, for me, why would you want Luka? Well, Luka stretches the court.
Absolutely.
You're going to have to guard him from out at the label. And if you don't, it'll be 3 points. So then that allows the other athletes to go to the hole because you must take the center out from the key. And to me, if you can get the bigs out of the key, that does a lot, because if you have a size advantage in the other positions, 1 through 4, you're going to be able to dominate because there's nothing in the middle.
Yeah,
the
it
other
opens
thing
your offense up for easy points and just gets everything flowing. Yeah, exactly.
You know, the other thing Luka does real well is the offensive rebounds.
Yep.
You know, his offensive rebounding for the time he has on his efficiency, you see, is really one of the highest in the league for that. And then the other thing, he's going to block out every time, so he's not going to let his guy get the rebound. So there's, you know, when you look at that, those adjustments and those things, it's you know, the idea is you work on it and then you put it in the G League game, right? So you try it there in that safe environment, so that when you get in at the next level in the Pistons, you're able to perform it at a high level because you've been working on it and putting it in game situations.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. I love that. That's awesome. Speaking of just watching players and studying others and having inspirations.
Yeah.
As a dad, you said you went to about 70 so games for Luka this season. Obviously, I saw you're at quite a bit of games. I personally, as a fan, one of the moments that stuck out to me was when Luka had to go up against DeMarcus Cousins. Because you think of one of the toughest, no nonsense bigs in the league, you know, one of the leaders in technical fouls, you know, just, you know, that can be intimidating for a younger guy to come in, and Luka held his own and didn't let him do anything to him. You know, I got a kick out of that personally. Was there any matchups that you saw or certain things that you saw from Luka this year, or players that you got to face that even as a fan or as a dad that you got a kick out of a little bit?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember Embiid. I don't know if you remember when we were playing at home at Little Caesars and whatnot. You know, he knocked him right down. I don't know if you saw that, and you know, helped him up, which you don't do, right? Because that's almost like an insult in a way. But he didn't mean it that way. But and then he knocked down the threes. Embiid came down, had a nice 2, but Luka had a nice 3.
Yeah.
You know, so that was fun. And of course, we admired. I mean, we watched these guys playing when he was in high school and junior high. So to actually play against him, for a rookie, you got to get over that. Oh my God, there's Lillard. Oh my God,
yeah.
Or
well, it's like, no, you're
just,
here now. You're on the same level as these guys.
Yeah, or hey, I stopped him.
Yeah.
I held him. So there's all that oohs and ahs, and I tweeted out on my Twitter account, some goals that Luke had written when he was a kid, and one was to make it in the NBA, and I tweeted it out. So it's like that whole process. You could ask really the full circle. What was it like? Incredible, from a little kid to seeing it manifest, and and now it starts over every day. You got to earn it. There's no carryover. So, but that's what being a pro is all about, at this level, which is taking what comes at you a day at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of as we're kind of heading to this kind of final part of the interview, let's kind of talk about that next year then, because obviously right now Luka is in a situation where he's currently, correct me if I'm wrong, but he has a second year on his contract, which is a team option for the Pistons. So obviously the hope would be that the Pistons pick up that team option and bring Luka back for a second season. And I want to run under the assumption that the Pistons are going to do that, because I think they should. And I think, and I hope that they will, because I think, just because of how much value and also just to keep having him be here to develop and to just work on his game. We're in a situation where we're not really in a playoff now mode, really. So to me, it's like having these guys in house. To me, having players like Luka in the fold is something that, when I do think of playoff basketball, you want the guys who aren't afraid to get charges, who aren't going to let their guys get past them in the box, in the box out. Like you said, the guys who are going to get their face hit or die for loose balls. And that's who Luka Garza is, man. Yes. So, what are some of those goals for year two? What are some of those goals for the second season in the league?
Yeah, well, certainly, we, as I mentioned earlier, when I think about Luka as a player for an organization, he is the poster boy in a way, in terms of hard work. And by the way, I do want to give a quick shout out, Sean, to Dove Academy, where he's kind of fell in love with them over there, and Miss Kane and staff and everything. Because some nights, particularly during COVID, we couldn't get in the gym. I couldn't get into the Detroit gym because of all the COVID protocols and this and that. So we'd have to go find a gym, to just during the season, if something was going on, just to even talk it through and stuff. So a huge shout out to that. So I say to you, our heart is right there in Detroit, and we are a Piston. If you think about what a Piston does in a vehicle, we are exactly that.
Exactly.
We will keep plugging away till we can't. If I was to imagine Luka on one of those treadmills, and you put another person on there, he wouldn't get up till he died, unless you made it, right? That's Detroit to me. See, that's Detroit to me. That's just you're going to have to contend with us. We're not going to go anywhere, and we are restoring the championship taste, feel, touch that is Detroit. It just took a little vacation for a while. Now it's back, and so I think all of that fits into what Luka is about as a human being. Luka didn't make it on talent. He made it on hard work. Pistons didn't win the championship because they had a bunch of super max players on the team. They made it because they had gutsy, gritty guys that would go where no one else would go, which is why I showed you those videos, Sean. No one else is going to do what I asked him to do. That's just who he is. So from that standpoint, our hope, of course, is we get to stay. We get to stay. If not, it's a profession. You got to find where else there is, and we'll deal with that with the same tools that we have now. The difference is, and I'll share it with you, for anybody out there, you got to recognize Luka was 114th as a recruit in high school. Mm-hmm. Ends up National Big Ten Player of the Year twice, unanimous All-American, Naismith, John Wooden, won every award as a senior, and arguably should have as a junior with his stats and his numbers.
Right.
And even in both seasons been cut short. He probably would have had another 5-7 games. So imagine what his stats would have been, right?
Yeah.
And my heart goes out to not only, just those people that couldn't play, but even, kids that their whole season was canceled. They couldn't play, right? From that standpoint. But here's what I say as a precursor to everything is, you don't bet against this kid, because look what he did from a freshman in high school. What did he do from a freshman in college? And you mark my words, what he'll do from a rookie to what he'll do, because what he learned. And listen, having a teammate, are you kidding me? Like babies, like Stu, like Kelly, Kate, all these guys. I mean, I don't want to leave anybody out, but to learn from Kelly, are you kidding me? Yeah. I mean, what a beautiful experience. Talk about a clever spark. Stewart on how he plays defense. You're talking about one of the best, and I would say arguably the best. Corbett, I know that, and, Utah and all that stuff, but I say Isaiah, for what he has to do for the how much he's not short by any means, but compared to Corbett and all these other guys, he is. What he gets out of his butt. So for Luka to be able to observe that, to be next to these men and to work with them, and there's been nothing but just solid pluses from this first year that I will tell you, he will take every granular knowledge of that, and we already have, and put it forward to what he's going to do this year. And I just tell you, you watch out.
Absolutely.
And it may be just like he did in high school, just like he did in college. He came out of nowhere. There wasn't one person, Sean, the start of junior year of Luka that put Luka down even for third team Big Ten. So there's not one person right now, besides you and me, maybe, and his mother and his grandfather and his team of people. Right. We're all sitting around knowing what he's going to do. He went from nothing to this. I'm telling you, the stripes of a tiger. Yeah. The stripes of a tiger. So, like you said, shame on you. You choose against this man.
Yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt. And before we wrap up, Frank, I did just want to ask one last question just about, being in that building and, someone that I think, you talk about Kelly Olynyk, Dwayne Casey and his experience and his ability with player development, not only him, but John Beilein as well in the building. Yep. Troy Weaver, just how much has all of those basketball minds that are in that building, how much has that impacted Luka already? And how crucial do you think it is to have people like that available into his advantage to develop and get better as a player?
Oh, tremendous. I mean, don't forget, you got Jamal, Xavier, Bryant, you got Marcus, you got all these guys on the G League too that were, that were played and this and that. So all of them across both sides, a fantastic bunch of folks that knew the game. It's listen, Casey knew, wise coach. He knows that the advantage of the game is in your development program. Yep. So it means a lot. I mean, I remember Coach Beilein at Michigan, because when Luka was a freshman, he was coaching, and he just his offense just hurt us at Iowa. He just picked us apart because he's so smart. And he understands the game like very few. So that, what does it matter? What it makes the difference in terms, particularly in a restoring mode. Mm-hmm. You're going to do that by having the best instruction and knowledge, if you can, of the game available to your players. And I can say there hasn't been, that the entire staff have been more than willing to help out, including even dietitian, who I want to thank too. Forgive me for getting her name, but she's really helped out Luka and transforming his diet in such a way that is really going to make a difference, because the NBA body, as you mentioned, 82 games, not counting preseason, summer league, it's all year round, and
it's a marathon.
You got to really become a professor of how you feed yourself, how you take care of yourself, And this really comes down to self-care.
Yeah.
Because you got to love yourself enough as a person and to take care of yourself. And then to be a pro, it's all about extending your career by ensuring that you're doing all the things in your power to ensure the longevity.
And the more that you do that younger, the better. Absolutely. And the fact that he's thinking about that now, I mean, those are just the things that'll put him, you know, in an advantageous standpoint compared to a lot of people. Well, Frank, people need to follow you on Twitter because you're one of the best follows on Twitter. So people can follow you on there at Frank Garza 57. Frank, this was such a pleasure. Thank you so much. Again, I'm just such a big fan of yours and your sons. I love the Tarzan Initiative and everything that you guys are doing. And just as a fan, I'm super excited to see what Luka does this season. And if he spends some more time with the Motor City Cruise, I know when they come to Grand Rapids, I'll have to be there courtside ready to go. And if they are, I hope you're there and I hope we get to watch some basketball together. That'd be fun.
Sounds great, Sean. Hey, appreciate it. And again, a shout out to everyone, all the Pistons family and everyone for being so kind and loving to us and know that our heart's in Detroit.
Absolutely. Well, hey, our hearts are with you guys too, and we're rooting for you. And obviously this summer we're just praying and hoping that we pick up that option, and we're going to be campaigning and hoping for that. But in the interim, Frank, thank you so much. And again, thank you to everyone that tuned in and watched this interview. If you liked it, be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel for more Pistons content, because we are here. Just like Frank said with, you don't want to bet against Luka. You don't want to bet against this channel, because we're coming fast and tenacious too. So,
all right.
So,
super, Sean.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time from Half Court.